Ever wonder why you grab the same branded toothpaste every time, almost on autopilot? Or why that new iPhone release can feel kind of exciting? We all like to think we're in control of our choices, right? That they're our choices. But what if that control is just an illusion? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something called brand washing, the hidden tricks companies use to get right inside our heads and persuade us to buy. So, just how deep does this rabbit hole go? Well, let's meet a guy named Martin Lindstrom. Now, this isn't just any marketing guy. He's a world-famous guru. I'm talking the guy that brands like McDonald's, Microsoft, even Disney, they hire him to make their strategies even more effective. So he asked himself this fascinating question. Could the ultimate insider beat the very game he helped create? He decided to run this crazy personal experiment. He called it a brand detox. And the rules? Oh man, they were simple, but they were absolutely brutal. For one whole year, he was going to buy absolutely no new brands. Nothing. No new food, no new clothes, no new gadgets from any brand he wasn't already using. A complete brand lockdown. And the results? He didn't even make it halfway. I mean, think about that. The expert, the guru who knows every single trick in the book, failed in less than 6 months. He described his life as this constant struggle, like living through an economic crisis. He was like shaving in the shower because he couldn't buy shaving cream, drinking plain water while his friends were out enjoying happy hour. The pressure was just immense.
So what was it? What finally broke him? You'd think it was something big, right? A fancy watch or a new car. Nope, it was a business trip. The airline lost his suitcase, he's sweating buckets before a huge presentation, and just out of pure desperation, he buys a single, kinda crappy souvenir t-shirt. But that one little purchase, it was like a crack in a dam. By the time he got to Milan, the floodgates just burst open. He went on this massive shopping spree, couldn't stop himself. So this whole failure led Lindstrom to this really powerful conclusion. He thought, if I can't escape this, then who can? He realized he was, in his own words, completely and utterly brand-washed. And this isn't just about clever TV ads, you know? It's about something way, way deeper. It's a whole system that preys on our most unconscious desires and fears.
Okay, so that brings us to a really important question. If a marketing expert can't break free, when does this whole thing actually start for the rest of us? Like, when did companies make their very first brand deal with you? Yeah, just think about that for a second. When do you think you saw your first brand logo or heard your first jingle? You're probably thinking about, I don't know, your favorite cereal as a kid, right? Or maybe that one toy you begged your parents for. Well, the real answer, it's much, much earlier than that. Yeah, you heard that right. The whole brand washing process, it begins while we're still in the womb. I know, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's totally grounded in real science about how a fetus develops. Okay, so check this out. By week 30, a fetus's sense of hearing, taste, and smell are all fully functional. I mean, fully. They can hear sounds from the outside world. They can even start developing preferences based on what their mother is eating. And you know who figured this out? Marketers. They realized this is the moment. This is their first chance to get in. This shopping mall experiment is the perfect example. It's wild. They specifically targeted pregnant mothers. They pumped the air full of scents like baby powder. They played soothing music from when the mothers themselves were young. And yeah, sales went up, sure, but that's not the crazy part. The truly stunning result came a year later. Mothers started reporting that their newborn babies, who had never been to this mall before, were instantly calmer the second they walked inside that specific mall. Those sounds, those smells, they had already created a subconscious bond with a whole new generation. So this pre-birth programming, it's really just the beginning. Because from the moment we're born, you better believe brands are working tirelessly to build on those early subconscious connections. I mean, check out this incredible story about Kopiko coffee in the Philippines. Here's how they became a top brand. First, they introduced a coffee-flavored candy, and they gave these candies to doctors, who then gave them to pregnant women and new moms. So then, a little while later, Kopiko launches an actual coffee that tastes exactly like the candy, and its success was just off the charts, especially with kids. Why? Because that taste was already familiar and comforting to them, literally from birth. And it's not just stuff like candy and food. Luxury brands are all about playing the long game. Take Porsche, for example. They run these ads showing young boys just daydreaming about their cars. Now, they know it could be decades before that kid has the money to buy one. But for Porsche, it's never too early to start planting that seed of desire.
Okay, so we know when it all starts, but the next question is, how does it actually work? How does a simple brand preference turn into a full-blown addiction? Well, it turns out the answer is biological.
So first, let's talk about shopping addiction itself. And yes, it is a real diagnosable condition. Let me tell you about a woman named Carolyn Longmead. She worked at a small electronics store in the UK, and she had this just uncontrollable urge to shop. For her, it was all about chasing that feeling of happiness and confidence.
Now, to fund this habit, she started stealing from her job. In just 2 years, get this, she took about $225,000. And this money wasn't going towards a mortgage or her kids' college fund. It was all for luxury brands, Louis Vuitton, Prada, Gucci. When the police finally caught up with her, her purchases filled 27 garbage bags. I mean, that's the extreme, destructive end of what this addiction can look like.
So what's going on in the brain here? What's the chemical that's driving all this? It's dopamine. You've heard of it, right? It's the brain's reward chemical. Every single time you buy something new, you get a little rush. That shiny object, the nice salesperson, boom, that's a dopamine hit. But here's the catch, and it's just like with any other drug. You start to build a tolerance. You get desensitized, so you need a bigger and bigger hit to get that same good feeling. It's a really dangerous cycle.
And brand addiction is just a more focused version of this. It's not just about the act of buying something, anything. It's about that deep emotional connection to one specific brand. It's why some people will only ever buy Apple products, or why for Carolyn Longmead, it had to be that Gucci handbag.
So researchers say this connection happens in 2 stages. First up, you have the routine stage. This is the practical stuff, like always buying Crest toothpaste just out of habit. But the place where marketers really win is when they push us into the dream stage. This stage has nothing to do with being practical. It is 100% emotional. It's all about the desire, the status, the identity you feel when you think about that Gucci handbag. That dream is where they really truly hook us.
All right, so we've seen how they target us before we're even born, how they build on that through our entire childhood, and how they literally tap into our brain's reward system to create addiction. So now, let's bring it all back to you.
Martin Lindstrom himself really sums it all up perfectly. He says the whole strategy is about probing our unconscious minds. It's about marketers finding our deepest fears, our anxieties, our desires, and then just amplifying them to manipulate how we think and ultimately what we buy.
So I'm going to leave you with a question. Now that you know the playbook, right? Now that you've seen some of the tricks, I want you to really think about it. Which brands are just part of your routine? And maybe more importantly, which ones are part of your dreams?